Okay, UFC 144 review. It was a really good card. I really enjoyed it. It first started off with Anthony Pettis versus Joe Lauzon, and as you know, Pettis is known for his kicking and all that other crazy stuff. And he really showed it in this one. He ended the fight with a head kick and some punches to follow up some punches in the first round. A minute and 21 seconds. So, Pettis would probably go against one more contender since he lost against Clay Guida, and then let's see what if he maybe go against go against a champion in the lightweight division. Then we have Hayoki versus Polazeski. Like I said in this one, it was a situation where Hayoki was using his reach, and he pretty much used jab, and kept away from the inside of Bart Polazeski's uppercuts, and just you don't want to get inside with a power puncher. And he stayed on the outside and pretty much was able to use his ground game and his striking ability with his reach to really keep Polazeski away. So Hayoki wins by unanimous decision. And it was a pretty decent fight. Now the other fight we have is Okami versus Tim Boych. This one was a good fight for the simple fact that both of these fighters are great. You have Tim, who is pretty much a power puncher. Then you have Okami, who is a great wrestler. Every time he wins or loses, he goes and tries to train harder to figure out what he lost, how he lost inside of the fight without actually losing the fight, or if he actually lost the fight, he goes to work with that person to find out what he did wrong and what they did right to beat him. And you can kind of really see that in this fight. He used a lot of things that from his opponents that he lost. He used a lot of wrestling techniques. He used a lot of his striking ability. His boxing has got a lot better than it has previously. And he's just an evolving mixed martial artist. And it proved it in the first two rounds. And then in the third round, when Tim was, down and out and he had to go in for a knockout, that's exactly what he did. He came in there and pretty much almost kind of like a bum rush and caught Okami with uppercuts. Caught him with the uppercut, followed up with the kick. Caught him, clinch, uppercut again. Okami tried to move away. He caught him with another head kick and then finished him off with another uppercut. And that's when Okami pretty much fell on his knees, and then he caught him with some more flutter shots to end the fight. So Tim Boych wins by TKO in third round. I didn't think he was going to win, but he really pulled it off. So he stays undefeated. Then we have Akiyama versus Jake Shields. It's what you really expect from both of these guys. Akiyama, as we know, he dropped down to welterweight, and from middleweight, he was fighting in middleweight, and he dropped down to welterweight. So we really didn't know how the weight cut was going to affect him and all this other stuff. We all know that when he was in middleweight, he had an issue with his cardio and whatever. But in this one, his cardio was great. His striking ability was okay, still substandard for a guy in mixed martial art at that level. But then again, he's a professional judo guy, and he's an expert in other martial arts. But his boxing is still substandard, but his judo is excellent. I mean, if you want to see somebody throw somebody, this is the guy to watch when it comes to judo throws. I mean, his uchimatas and inner and outer reaches and all that other stuff. It's just excellent, man. It's just hip tosses out of the ass. But the guy just did some excellent tosses. But it still wasn't enough for him to win the fight, because when he got on the ground, Jake Shields just hugged on him like for dear life. I mean, he literally was on Akiyama's back at one point, like a backpack, just holding it, trying to get him to pulling him back down to the ground. And I don't blame Jake Shields. I mean, he got to do what he got to do to win. He was on a downward spiral, and he needed this win, and he did get this win by unanimous decision. Now we have the next fight, which is Mark Hunt, which we all know is the K1 guy in Pride. I don't know if you've seen his fights. Excellent. Big, heavy hands. Fought in K1, fought in Pride. Then we have Congo, which everybody should know who Congo is if you're watching this video. And these guys both went at it. And it didn't last long. It went into the first round, 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Hunt came out there and just... the funny thing is, Hunt went out there and just knocked out Congo. Hunt just grazed Congo a little bit, and I guess Congo felt how hard he was throwing his punches and how hard he would hit, and all of a sudden he started pushing away and looking away and all this other stuff, and he just got caught in the midst of trying to get away from the flurry of punches, and he just went out cold when he got hit with that punch, and he loses in the first round, 2 minutes and 11 seconds, guys. And then we have the co-main event, which was Jackson versus Bader. Bader being a wrestler, Jackson being the brawler, striker, boxer, whatever you want to call him, whichever one he wants to do on any particular fight. But we all knew that Bader was going to go in there and try to wrestle him and get him to the ground. And Jackson was going to try to give us flashbacks of the old Rampage Jackson Pride days. And I thought maybe this would jumpstart, his interaction back into fighting, to really get knee deep back in it again and try to get back into title contention. And I was wrong. He didn't even make weight, so he had to give up 20% of his purse, which is horrible. It's so unprofessional. Especially, he fought for this card. He fought to try to get to have a fight in Japan, and he doesn't even make weight, which is that's another story. But then he really just did not practice on anything on the ground. You know what I mean? He and I've watched some of the interviews that he had, and he just basically said he's, who cares about the ground? I'm a stand-up fighter. I want to do exciting fights, and nobody wants to see people on the ground. But he's just going to lose every single time someone gets him on the ground. Now, Ryan Bader is just not a guy who learned wrestling or jiu-jitsu, 2 weeks ago. This guy is elite wrestler. But with that being said, you're going against guys like Rashad and all these other guys. They're going to wrestle you. They're going to wrestle you hard. And yes, Quentin Jackson does have some good takedown defense, but he really didn't show it in this fight. He got taken down constantly, and what people like to call the wet blanket is what happened to Quentin Jackson. Quentin Jackson, Rampage, just got swallowed up in that blanket, and he just couldn't get it off of him. And he loses by unanimous decision. And who knows what he's going to do with his future. I really just feel like at this point, you don't make weight. You don't make weight, and and he just really doesn't show any interest in the sport anymore. So we'll see what he has, what he's going to do. Then we have the main event, which was Frankie Edgar versus Ben Henderson. Now, I guess this fight here was was exciting to me because these guys are like, it's lightweight for one, but these guys have, their cardio is crazy. Both of these guys are true athletes. It's just art really watching these guys with Edgar his movement and his footwork and his tenacity and everything else. And then Ben Henderson, who is just just a machine. He is probably the biggest. If you watch the fight, you will see the difference in size between these guys. But Ben Henderson is a huge in this division compared to Frankie Edgar, who it looked like they should be in two different weight classes. But this guy is sculpted and just really takes care of and knows what he has to do to perform in a fight. And when you watch the fight, you'll just see a tit for tat match. Frankie Edgar had probably more punches and shots, but Ben Henderson landed a lot of leg kicks. Frankie Edgar caught a lot of his leg kicks, but he caught them late. He caught them after the impact happened, which is still damaging and will slow you down, but leaves you vulnerable for a punch in the face, but also leaves Frankie Edgar vulnerable for a straight punch in the face. So a lot of that was going back and forth. A takedown here. Ben Henderson had a takedown there. Then Ben Henderson got taken down, and then Frankie Edgar got up-kicked in the face and just split his nose open, and he was gushing out blood out of his nose. I'm pretty sure his nose was broken. And then, but do you think that would stop Frankie Edgar? No. He won't let you believe that just because you hurt him that he can't continue. He still continued at the same fast pace, great cardio, and the same speed that he did previously. And he still landed significant shots and still was going for takedowns. And he went for a double leg and then ended up getting caught in a guillotine, but did the right maneuver to get out of it. And it was just one of those things where a lot of people may argue it's just Ben Henderson did more damage than Frankie Edgar because Ben Henderson didn't have a scratch on his body, but Frankie Edgar face was just really jacked. His whole right eye was swollen, or his left eye was swollen, almost totally shut, and his nose was broken. He slowed down from a lot of leg kicks, but the damage was on Ben Henderson's side, but the movement and the amount of punches landed was probably on Frankie Edgar's side. I would say the only difference is they're about even on the takedowns. I would say what knocked it over was probably the control of the ring, and Ben Henderson controlled this fight the whole entire time. He stayed in the middle of the ring. He always jumped back up from a takedown. He just really controlled this fight, and that's what allowed him to win this fight by unanimous decision and become the new UFC lightweight champion. So. Do I agree with it? Yes, I do. I had Ben Henderson winning the fight. It just, when you see a fight, you know who's winning. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. It was a close fight, but he lost. But he should get Ben Henderson probably will get, Frankie Edgar will get another rematch against Ben Henderson because Frankie Edgar has done it twice. So, guys, that was my review for UFC 144. If you like my review, as always, please comment, subscribe, and rate. Peace.